Big fight. Muhammad Ali, Leon Spinks. Who do you think's going to win?
I think Ali. I think he'll get the title back.
Yeah, I think he'll get it. Are you a big boxing fan?
Not too much. No.
But you'll be watching.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you think's going to happen tomorrow night?
I think that definitely Ali will win because he has experience on his side, and he's a champ as far as I'm concerned.
What happened last time?
Oh, I think that possibly, well...
He forgot, maybe.
No.
Last time. No?
I think that he let Spinks win, personally.
You think it might have been fixed?
I'm not saying that, but I think that he wants to make a comeback like he did before, and this would be monumental if he came back like
And
this.
won it the third time. Let me ask some other people. That's what we're talking about on today's show. What's going to happen tomorrow night? Hi, stand up, would you, just for a second?
Hi.
What's your name?
That's
From Gary.
Brooklyn.
What do you think? Tomorrow night, Ali, Spinks, who's it going to be?
Definitely Spinks will knock him out about the 10th round.
What, are you a palm reader or something? Definitely around the 10th round, huh?
Definitely.
You betting on it?
$2.
It's not a bet. Sit down.
Well,
Let me
I
ask-
have a reason for it, though.
What's the reason?
Well, Ali will definitely have to come out fighting for the first time in 10 years, maybe. And he's not going to be able to do the rope-a-dope or any of the jokes that he usually pulls, and he's going to have to be aggressive, and Spinks is going to outlast him eventually. He's younger.
That's what we're talking about on today's show, the championship fight. Tomorrow night, Muhammad Ali, Leon Spinks. How much does Muhammad Ali have left? Is this his last fight? Well, on today's program, we're going to ask that question to people like Chuck Wepner, Rocky Graziano, Bill Mazer, Vic Ziegel, referee Harold Vallon, sports attorney Martin Blackman. Hilda La Madrid has a special on-location report from some of the gyms around New York, and boxing promoter Don King. All happening right now, so stay with us. Here today. Let me see. Have you been in a fight or something? What happened to those teeth? Come here. I'm just kidding. Are you a fight fan?
Not really. Actually, I kind of hate the idea of fights. I don't like to see people.
Well, how come you
beat
came
each
down
other up.
today?
Well, my friend got the tickets, and I thought it would be fun. I like you.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. That's nice. Thank you. We're talking today, as I've already said, about Muhammad Ali and Leon Spinks and the fight game in general. We have Chuck Webner, who actually was the inspiration for Sylvester Stallone's film Rocky, with us, and a lot of good guests. But our first guest is a man I think of as in a very special way. He's done a tremendous amount for boxing, and boxing has done a lot for him. He is promoted. Last time we had Don King on the program, he was talking about the Ken Norton-Larry Holmes fight in Las Vegas. It was everything he said it would be. He's probably the world's greatest promoter. Let's have a nice welcome for Don King. Here he is.
Thank you, Bill.
Good to see you, Don.
My pleasure indeed.
Thanks for coming.
Right
There are your subjects. Well, you were absolutely right when you were talking about the Larry Holmes Ken. Here, I'll get that for you.
Oh, you want to help me?
Yeah, the Larry Holmes Ken Norton fight was everything you said that it was going to be. But let's talk about this Friday night. Sit down.
Okay, fine.
What do you think? What's your prediction on Ali Spinks?
I think that Muhammad Ali will beat Leon Spinks on Friday night. I think he has to really go out in a blaze of glory. He's a legend, you know. He's did everything
No
that
question.
could happen in boxing. And I think this will be his last hurrah.
You think this will be the last fight for Ali, as he says it will be this time?
I think his body will dictate that is so. You know, he's took a lot of punishment over the years. He's been in boxing 24 years. He's been remarkable. He's still very handsome. He has the talent and the ability, but now his reflexes are slowing down, and I think he realizes that if he's to continue, he want to go out as a champion, and I think he will do just that.
I read someplace that you offered the services of Larry Holmes, who, in defeating Ken Norton, gained part of the heavyweight crown to Ali for training. Is that true, or is that just press stuff?
No, that was true, because Larry and myself both were deeply indebted to Muhammad. After all, he opened the door for me, and then I opened the door for Larry, so it just goes like a chain of continuity when you're reaching out to help people. So we felt at the moment that's a crisis in his life. I think this is really a big moment for Muhammad. It's going to be a great event. And so we want to do everything we could to help him. And this is like isolating yourself from the other champion, so to speak, in the event that Spinks should win. But I think that sometime you have to stop and be accounted for. And for Muhammad Ali, I'm ready to stand and be accounted.
Well, I wonder about this. Since you are essentially involved with the successful career of Larry Holmes, won't it be tempting for you, if Muhammad Ali wins, as you've already predicted Friday night, to go to Muhammad and say, one last hurrah, one more fight, you and Larry Holmes, two beautiful guys in there against each other?
Ordinarily, that would be the case.
The promoter would want
Yes,
to do that.
that's-
Yeah.
As a friend and a fan of boxing, I would tell Muhammad that he should hang him up as in the evening of his career, and if he can go out in a blaze of glory this one more time, then he should not chance that for anything, because he can have a much better life without getting hit upside the head and make as much as $6 million.
That's a good
But
point.
as a promoter and a businessman, if he was going to do it, then I would like for him to do it for me.
Yeah, okay. Hey, some of the people in the audience I was talking to before we came on the air today, they'd like to ask you some questions. A fella here on, well, we can start with you. Yeah. What's your name?
My name's Tony Avocado.
Tony Avocado?
yes. Right.
That's an appetizing name, Tony. Good. Stand up for a second.
Okay. I'm a pretty big boxing fan, and I'm very dismayed lately by the turn of events as far as television coverage. It seems to me that it's becoming very theatrical, and the media in general are creating sports superstars. In particular, Sugar Ray Leonard. Leon Spinks is a perfect example. Only a minimum of pro fights, he has a shot at the title. Whereas all the old-time fighters, like Rocky Graziano, can bear me out on this. They'd have to fight many fights. So I think Marciano had maybe 46 fights before he got the title shot. I could be wrong, but years and years would go by, and you'd be past your physical peak.
What do you see as the question? You think something's wrong in the fact that
think-
it's becoming theatrical?
Yes, I do. I think the quality of the fighters in general are not as good, and I think that it's easy to be hurt. People can be rushed along for the bigger dollar, and they might not be physically ready.
Let's get Don King's response to that.
Well, first of all, circumstances and events and times have changed quite considerably since the time that Rocky was fighting. So it is a difference in the type of maneuverings that was done by promoters for self-serving invested interests prior to now, which is a very open scene in boxing where guys have an opportunity to fight judged by their merits and the talents of their abilities, which is exemplified by the fact that Leon Spinks lost recognition of the WBC because he reneged on a promise. Never before has anyone had any modicum of law and order in boxing in the last 40 or 50 years where if a fighter could fight by his talents and his merits to earn a #1 position, that is mandatory that he gets a title defense. See, so now this makes it a big difference. So now everybody can get an opportunity to fight for the title according to their ability and their merits rather than by the maneuvering of some slick promoter or matchmaker or whatever, you know.
I have a question based on that, Don. I wanted to ask you. That was a good question as well, Mr. Avocado. Now, I'm making fun of your name. It's a cute name, I think. But don't you think the public sentiment was really on Leon Spinks' side to give Ali the immediate return? The fact that even though he was partially stripped of his title as a result of doing it legally, that most people wanted to see an Ali Spinks rematch.
Well, I think that would have been appropriate, and at the appropriate time. I think when it gets to the position, or we get into a posture where we can waive laws for sentiment, I think that's be a very grave day for us. As in anything you do, you just cannot serve to any one vested interest or any one personality, any one person. Once Ali was bigger than boxing. He still is, you know. But after he had brought boxing back into the focus of all the people and generated the type of excitement it is, then you must get credibility and acceptability. Boxing is the highest paid sport in the world. It's the highest visual sport in the world.
Heavyweight crown is. Yeah.
Well, yes, you know, but all title holders, they'll make more money than any other sports guy. If they get to be a title holder, they can be consecutive in their winning continuity. But it's the bottom rung of the ladder image-wise. Image-wise because of the unacceptability, the credibility of boxing. Either the fixed fights, going into the tank, gangster control, whatever, and then the Hollywood movies, all the movies, the cigar, the guy in the corner, boy, you better not get out there and fight or we're going to kill your mother, you know. So this is what is really, you know, it really knocked down boxing
good acting,
in the household. So now boxing is coming back as a resurgence of interest and enthusiasm. And then when you find WBC, World Boxing Council, and Jose Sulaiman, who makes you adhere to the rules and regulations of the organization, then you find acceptability beginning to come into fold.
I want to fix your mic and then go back in the audience. There we go. Fellow on the third row had a question. Hi. What's your name?
My name is Dwight Blair.
Dwight, have you ever been here before for a show?
No, I haven't.
Welcome to our audience. Thank you for coming
being
today.
here.
What's your question for Don King, Dwight?
Well, I just wanted to ask Mr. King if we had to worry about that happening again, an occurrence where we had two champs or where someone was stripped of a title. I feel that it tended to hurt Norton more than it helped him. He was forced to fight maybe before he was ready to, and although it helped Holmes, which was in your interest, You know, I do think it hurt Norton at that time more than helped him. Now, who knows where he stands.
What we ought to review is the fact that when Spinks said that he wasn't going to fight Ken Norton, part of Spinks' crown was taken away from him and assigned to Ken Norton.
Right.
And Ken Norton defended it against Larry Holmes, and that was the fight that Don promoted. What do you say about this whole thing with two champions?
Well, let me say first of all that if we were to pander to the whims and caprices of a Ken Norton or anyone that had became the WBC champion to do the same thing that we were squawking that was injustice, then we would be as guilty as the one who was the perpetrator of the injustice. So Ken Norton had to fight a #1 available contender in order to justify his position and warrant the fact that WBC had went on the line and withdrawing recognition from Leon Spinks to because he wouldn't fight Norton. Now we can't practice the same thing and preach another, you know.
So in order for him to be a member of the World Bouncing Council, he has to fight who they determine he should, regardless of where he feels physically fit to fight the #1 contender or not.
Or sentiment, as he said before.
As you said yourself, he wasn't ready to fight Muhammad Ali, so why wouldn't he have time to prepare and build himself up to the point where he could take a shot at Ken Norton? I don't think he was ready, and he didn't think so.
No,
Not that
I'm confused because what you're saying is if Norton is a champion and he fought for November 5th when he beat Jimmy Young, now he signed for that fight on the contingency in the event that Ali or Spinks, whichever would be the winner, would fight him. If they didn't fight him, he would become WBC champion. Then he must defend his title against a #1 credible opponent.
But that has not been the policy for every heavyweight champion has not had to fight the #1.
You never withdrew recognition from title holders. You know, it's not an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, that is a very...
Yeah, it's not an everyday occurrence.
You bring up a good point.
I'm a Muhammad Ali fan, although I do feel that in certain situations there has been a double standard as far as who you had to fight and when and how many times and if someone got a shot, where Spinks had no choice because he was a newcomer.
Yeah.
Whereas if he had been around, he might have gotten away with it.
I want to shift back to Don King. You know, something just occurred to me here. The first time Don King and I ever met, you were on the show with a great heavyweight champion, George Foreman.
Yes.
What do you think about the future of George Foreman? There's a guy, I think, who could probably knock out almost any of the top contenders, and yet he's down on his ranch in Texas raising dogs.
Yeah, well, George Foreman is a very formidable opponent for anyone, and I think that he could come back on the scene today and, as you say, knock out the majority of the guys that's out there. He's a very, very powerful man. And I think if he would get his mental situation together, like out of the confused state of mind, he would be a tremendous
I
force
predicted on the show that George Foreman would be heavyweight champion again, and I still feel that way. He has tremendous punch, as we have seen. All right, we're going to take a break. What is your schedule? Can you stay for another segment, or do you have to fly off in one of those executive jets?
Bill Mays has asked me to stay for a segment. I have my guys going to call and see if I can stay around.
Don King then will stay for a while, and Rocky Graziano and Chuck Wepner will join us right after this. Hey, I am really happy to introduce, thank you very much. I'm really happy to introduce two great fighters right now, and we're going to find out from Chuck Wepner exactly how Sylvester Stallone did contact him. Chuck Wepner is going to be in Rocky 2. He is with us, as well as the great middleweight champion, Rocky Graziano. Let's have a nice welcome for Chuck and Rocky right now. Chuck Wepner, Rocky Graziano. Nice to see you, Chuck.
Nice to have you.
Rocky, welcome back. Last time Rocky Graziano was on the show, we had him singing. How you doing? Let me start with the predictions first, okay? Chuck Wepner, you were in the ring for 15 rounds with Muhammad Ali. It's now the twilight of his career. How do you feel about this Friday's fight?
Well, I'd have to go with Ali again. I think it is the twilight of his career, and I expect it to be a very tough fight for him because I believe Leon Spinks is underrated. I think he's a very, very good fighter. But I think Ali will be able to pull it out just one more time and go out in a blaze of glory. I predict a 15-round decision for Ali.
Decision for Ali.
Yes.
Rocky Graziano, good to see you again.
Okay,
looking
buddy.
as fit as ever.
Thank you very much.
What's your prediction for?
Well, I decided from Don and Chuck here before that some way, somehow, some lucky thing that Ali's got. I don't think he's would be in good shape for the fight. Whatever. I thought before I came in here, I was going to make a bet on Spinks, but now I'm going to make a bet on Ali because I think something's going to happen. Somehow, this here guy made boxing in the last 10, 15 years, and this here guy I think is one of the greatest, and I hate to see a guy like this here lose the fight. And I think that Ali is going to lick him somehow, some way, I don't know.
A little bit of magic, huh? Possibility. Okay.
He's a hell of a guy, Ali, and he's done a lot for boxing, and he brought it back. And anybody that says no is full of baloney.
Okay. I think we all are in agreement on that point, for sure. Here's a question from a fellow right here in the first row, for I think both of our...
Yes. This question is
first,
directed
stand up. Okay.
Both to
Chuck,
Rocky
Wepner,
and
Chuck.
Chuck.
Yeah.
What kind of thoughts were going through your mind when you're both contenders in a position in a championship fight, and what were you thinking as you first went out there, and more specifically, how did you feel about actually going to blows with Muhammad Ali, Chuck?
Well, quite naturally, I was excited. I wasn't nervous because maybe just a little bit, because I really don't get nervous in a fight. I've had a lot of fights, and that's one of the reasons that I don't waste anything before. But it was a great thing for me. I was very excited, and I was looking forward to it. I wanted the chance to go in against the best in the world. Mm-hmm. I still think Ali is probably the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, and unfortunately I fought him 3.5 years ago when he was still a great fighter. I would have rather have fought him now when he slipped a lot, but I think I did the best I could, and Ali was still great, and at least if I lost to the best.
And how about Rocky Graciano? When the time, take us back to the position when you were a contender. Tell us who you were in against.
Well, I wasn't afraid of nobody. I was a crazy kid to start with, and you got to be a crazy guy to become a fighter anyway. But I would thought I could lick anybody in the world. I got in the ring with Joe Louis, in the gym, kidding around, and Willie Pep and everybody.
Well, wait a second, what happened with you and Joe Louis? That's
Joe
gotta be a good
Louis, I
story.
jumped in the ring in Florida. He was training, and I had gloves on. I was going to bite in the next ring, and I got in with Joe Louis, and Joe Louis says, "Come here, little boy. Take it easy." Yeah. And Joe Louis is one hell of a guy.
Tremendous guy. He's got a good new biography out right now too. He's got some good reviews.
He's a good guy, and he's a heck of a guy. And the thing is that I was really never scared in the ring, because if you were scared, you can't win anyway. An example: my manager wanted my first, second, fourth round. I was fighting 4 rounds, in someplace. In MacArthur Stadium or something. A 4-round bout, and I was fighting a guy with a flat nose, a cauliflower ear. So
somebody very unlike yourself.
A guy like this here.
Sure.
So the guy, my manager said, "What are you, scared of this guy?" He says, "The only reason why that guy has got a flat nose, a cauliflower ear, and he's fighting a 4-rounder, he can't fight." Which is the truth. I got 4 rounds. But anyway, but I think I just made a decision that Ali somehow, some way is going to win.